Hey, it's Justin. Welcome to part 3 of our training session. Okay, back to our analogy. Product now, in our analogy, is the body of the car. It is one component in our journey. It's not every component. However, I would say it is quite an important component because without this product, we really don't have a business at all, and getting from our starting place to our destination is impossible. But let's dive in to product. So, not every product is created the same. And so, when I evaluate products, I looked for a few distinct things that tell me this product has an advantage over others. So, one of the first thing is uniqueness. The more unique your product is, the better opportunities you have. Why? If I am selling a fidget spinner and every single person under the sun is selling a fidget spinner, I'm not really unique in the market. I don't really have the opportunity to bring together my brand story in a way that really creates this amazing opportunity for success. However, if I'm the first person to bring a fidget spinner into the market, everybody is going to be focused on this because I'm unique, I'm new. I am going to have tremendous opportunity over everyone else. Now, again, if you have patents on your product and you're the only person who has it, you have quite a bit of advantage over other products. Next is consumable products. They produce consistently more revenue. Consumable products, think of it as something that, like a Keurig, right? Everyone's had a Keurig, or you know the coffee machine, where you buy the machine, but then you have these little K-cups that you have to, buy more K-cups every single time you go through it. And it's consistently producing more and more and more revenue because your consumer has to buy more to consistently use your product. However, not every product has to be consumable that you ingest. You can have different shirts that are prone to upsell. You can have products that go bad after a time. We all know this with the Apple phones, that every so often in a few years the batteries seem to die. And so there's different ways to make your product consumable, but products that go away or products that are prone to upsell produce more revenue. They give tremendous opportunity. You don't necessarily want to have a product that lasts a lifetime. If it does last a lifetime, you better hope your product or your audience is so large that you can sell millions and millions of those products without having to sell a second. So when I evaluate products, consumable products are best. Now let's look at next. So the next really has to be this. Your average order value, this is an important term, the average amount spent to purchase your product has to match your persona. I see this all the time. Well, your persona is maybe a college student, or your persona is maybe someone who's exiting high school. And so they're really at the beginning of their spending journey. They don't have a lot of discretionary income. However, the persona matches a product that's, let's say, $200. The ability to find a persona that can spend $200 when they're in that early stage is very, very difficult. So you have to begin thinking about the average order amount has to match the persona. So let's say you're selling a fidget spinner. Your persona, being a high school student, is a simple match. It's small cost and it matches. But let's say we're selling a gold-plated fidget spinner. That would not match that persona. We would have a mismatch. So when I'm evaluating products, I want to look at the average order amount and it has to match the persona. This is why your personas matter so much. All right, let's continue on with products. Next is consumable products. They produce consistently more revenue. Consumable products, think of it as something that, like a Keurig, right? Everyone's had a Keurig, or you know the coffee machine, where you buy the machine, but then you have these little K-cups that you have to, buy more K-cups every single time you go through it. And it's consistently producing more and more and more revenue because your consumer has to buy more to consistently use your product. However, not every product has to be consumable that you ingest. You can have different shirts that are prone to upsell. You can have products that go bad after a time. We all know this with the Apple phones, that every so often in a few years the batteries seem to die. And so there's different ways to make your product consumable, but products that go away or products that are prone to upsell produce more revenue. They give tremendous opportunity. You don't necessarily want to have a product that lasts a lifetime. If it does last a lifetime, you better hope your product or your audience is so large that you can sell millions and millions of those products without having to sell a second. So when I evaluate products, consumable products are best. Now let's look at next. So the next really has to be this. Your average order value, this is an important term, the average amount spent to purchase your product has to match your persona. I see this all the time. Well, your persona is maybe a college student, or your persona is maybe someone who's exiting high school. And so they're really at the beginning of their spending journey. They don't have a lot of discretionary income. However, the persona matches a product that's, let's say, $200. The ability to find a persona that can spend $200 when they're in that early stage is very, very difficult. So you have to begin thinking about the average order amount has to match the persona. So let's say you're selling a fidget spinner. Your persona, being a high school student, is a simple match. It's small cost and it matches. But let's say we're selling a gold-plated fidget spinner. That would not match that persona. We would have a mismatch. So when I'm evaluating products, I want to look at the average order amount and it has to match the persona. This is why your personas matter so much. All right, let's continue on with products. All right, so now I'm going to bring it back to you. You're going to evaluate your product on these 3 areas. First of all, look at your product. How unique is your product? And give yourself a rating. 1 being it's not really unique. It's a fidget spinner in a world of fidget spinners. Or 5 being I have patents on this product. No one's ever thought of it. I'm the first one. It is completely unique. I own all the uniqueness. Next, look at how consumable or prone to reorder your product is. Is my product something that's going to last a lifetime? A 1? Or is it a 5 where every 30 days they have to buy a new supply? It is a Keurig with the K-Cups. Now third, look at how much it would be to order your product. Does that match your persona? Is my product, let's say $50 and it matches a 35-year-old woman that is in my persona range? Does a 35-year-old woman generally have $50 to spend on this product? Yes. Or is my product, let's say a $500 product and it matches high school students? That would be a 1. That wouldn't really match. Again, give yourself these ratings, step outside of your product, and give yourself the opportunity to compare the uniqueness, the consumability, and the average order value for your product and if it matches persona. All right, complete that now. All right, let's keep moving with product. Now, let's have an example because we're about to dive really deep into product. For our example, let's have this. This is a Power Mist hydrating hand sanitizer. That's our simple product. Now, let's take our product and let's look at it by the numbers. What are the numbers of this product and how should I be looking at this product in terms of my e-commerce business? I like to use this simple calculator. This is a calculator that I'm going to evaluate every single product and every single brand and product. We look at this calculator. So let's go through it. On the far left, you have product. What is the product description? Next, you have the product cost. What does it cost to produce this product? Next is fulfillment. What does it cost to take the product, package it up, and then prepare to send it to my customer? That then produces what we call the total cost, or COGS. And you've likely heard that term, COGS. COGS is cost of goods sold, right? So when I'm looking at a product, I want to get a good idea in my mind, and I have to know the numbers of the cost of goods sold. It helps me evaluate how I'm going to sell it. Then we have what is the retail price. The retail price is what your customers would pay for it. Now I also added in there plus or minus shipping. There's a lot of products where you cover shipping, and there's a lot of products where you don't cover shipping. So those are important numbers that I'm going to look at. Because on the far side of this, you're going to have what is called the estimated CAC. You're like, what is that? Estimated CAC is the estimated cost of acquisition. Acquisition would be a customer. So from now, I'm able to look at my product, the cost, the fulfillment, the total COGS, the retail price, what I'm selling it for, and then the estimated cost to acquire a new customer. So now what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to begin thinking about the numbers that your product is. How much does it cost to produce your product, to fulfill your product? How much are you selling it for? And how much are you anticipating the cost of acquisition to be? Now, before I just have you fill in these numbers, I'm going to give you an overview, and we call it the rule of thirds. So let's begin to look at this rule of thirds for our product. The first thing with our product here is our hydrating hand sanitizer, like we've been discussing. Now, in a rule of thirds, you want to look at three numbers: the total COGS, the retail price, and the estimated CAC. That's going to help you generate a really good rule of thirds. And the most important number down here, which we haven't discussed, is return. What is the return? So in the first component of our rule of thirds, let's go through our example. The hydrating hand sanitizer. The product cost is $3.25 to produce one product. Then fulfillment of this product is $1.75. So our total COGS come to $5. Now, an important thing to understand here is the actual retail price. Sometimes you know this, sometimes you're just guessing. Well, I could sell it for $15. So if I sell it for $15, the next thing I have to consider is, what does it cost me to acquire one new customer? Now, if you don't know this, if you're guessing, in my experience, we've always used 33%. So 33%, a third of $15 is $5. So here we are. We can see our thirds. We have our total cost of goods at $5, our cost to acquire a new customer at $5, and our return is $5. In a game of thirds with products, we generally always win. So now what I want you to do is I want you to take this calculator, this simple spreadsheet, and I want you to put in all of your numbers. And then when you put in your numbers using your product, your fulfillment, and your total COGS, your retail price, what you're selling it for now, and then create an estimated CAC, 33% of the retail price, what is your return? Does it fall within the rule of thirds or does it not? And if it doesn't, that's going to be something we're going to talk about right after this. So go ahead and stop, begin using this calculator, and see how close your product breakdown by the numbers comes to the rule of thirds. Now that you've applied the rule of thirds and you're looking at your product, what do you do if you have break even? And break even really is when you've looked at your total COGS, you've looked at your cost of acquisition and your retail, and let's say you're just barely breaking even. Let's look at our example again if we were breaking even. So here we have our breakdown. This is our hydrating hand sanitizer. Our product costs are the same. Our fulfillment's the same. Our retail is the same, $15. But let's say the cost of acquisition costs $9.90, giving our return only 10 cents. This is what we would call break even. Now you can still win. How? So if we look at our product in break even and we add a really amazing component, if we have a reorder. Now, again, remember, if our product is very consumable, if it's prone to reorder, this is a whole new element. So now we have our hydrating hand sanitizer with the reorder. This is the same customer. Over a period of time, their product has run out and they're coming back to reorder more. So let's look at this example. Our product fulfillment and a product cost is the same, $5. Our retail price is the same, $15, but our estimated cost of acquisition is $0. How is that? Because it's a reorder, they've already come to the site, they've learned the brand, they've bought the product, they've left it on their shelf at home and it runs out and they go, oh, I need more. So by their own choice, or maybe by an email, they get an email, they think I need to buy more, they come back to our website and they buy our product again. Now look at our return. Our return is $10. And if we're looking at the rule of thirds, we still win. It's the same winning rule of thirds. So even if our cost of acquisition is high, if our consumability or our ability to reorder also matches that, we can still break even on the first order and win. Now, that's not the end. If you look at break even a little bit more, there's a lot more that goes into it. So the first thing in breaking even and winning is you have more sales. With breaking even, you have that ability to have more consistent customers coming in and purchasing, even if you're only breaking even. But when you're doing that, you in turn get more exposure to future customers. Because as you're going out in these different channels and selling, you may be breaking even on the first order, but you're getting more and more and more exposures. A lot of really effective strategic brands will do what we call break even on the first order. Why? Because they really are all about acquiring new customers. It's the most important component. When you're looking at investors, when you're looking at Shark Tank and you're hearing about all these brands and they're just like rattling off these numbers, the most important number of every business is the ability to acquire new customers. That number, your rate of acquisition, is the most important thing. Why? Because everyone understands this break even and win component. If I go acquire 1 million customers and I spend $1 million in my product cost and everything else with reorder, let's say half of them come back and reorder, I can make $500,000 with no additional cost of acquisition. That's a very important component to understand in your product. But that's not the end. When you're doing this process, when you're getting more customers, more email addresses, more purchases, more surveys, more feedback, you're generating what we like to understand as more data. And when you have the most data, you usually always win. And there's a whole section on data following this, but just for us to understand now, breaking even in products is not a bad thing. In some ways, a lot of brands choose to break even so they can acquire more customers. So before we continue on at this point, I want you to understand and look at your products. Do you have the ability to break even and win? What does your repurchase look like? Is this items you've thought about before for your acquisition? If not, I would give it some thought. But let's continue on with product. Okay, still within product. Let's bring together some of the important things we've learned so far. Within our branding, we have personas. And within those personas, there is what we understand as the market. The market is the audience of people that will buy our product. Now, a lot of brands, especially when they're new to market, assume they have product market fit. They believe the product and the market are a match, meaning the market will buy that product in a profitable or break even of numbers. So let's put it to the test. Let's bring up our example product, our hydrating hand sanitizer, and then let's come up with some of the personas that we've created. So in this example, there are 3 different personas that this brand has created for this product. Now, just so it's clear, personas can get even more specific and our market can be a little bit broader. But just for the case of an example, let's walk through this product and this market to see if we can find a profitable or break-even product market fit. So here's how we would do this in the next slide. We take all of the personas that we have defined so far. Now, we want to put these to the test. We find an avenue of selling to test these markets with our product. There's a lot of different ways to do this. Some people will do it with affiliates. Some people will do it with door-to-door. Some people will reach out and say, hey, your audience, I'm interested in selling my product. Do you want to buy it? But one of the most common ways that we do this testing is with advertising. We take advertising and we test our product to each of these markets as simply as possible. So let's do that now with these personas. So the first persona we have here, we use all of our numbers to date and we test this through advertising to see, will persona 1, which is germ-conscious women, buy our product? After we run all of our product numbers, we look at our cost of acquisition, which is the cost to acquire this customer, and we find it's $12. After the product COGS and the cost of acquisition, we find our return is a negative $2. I would say that's not a profitable or break-even product market fit. Next, we test Persona 2, women with dry hands. We run our total COGS and our retail, and we find the cost of acquisition of Persona 2 is $9.90, leaving us a return of 10 cents. Although I wouldn't say this is profitable, I would say this is break even. And then third, we test Persona 3, moms with younger children. After we run our product COGS and our cost of acquisition, we find our negative return of $12 is clearly not a product market fit. So at that, we step back and we further define our break-even win. And what we find is Persona 2, where it's just at that break-even, is a profitable or near profitable product market fit. And we know because of the break-even and reorder, we can take Persona 2, further define additional personas within that, and move with a confident product market fit. Now, just as a clause here, in the beginning when you're testing your personas, it is very likely that you have a lot of scenarios like this. And it's also very likely that you may have a negative return of $2. But you realize over time, with more data, more creative, more imagery, more testing, you can find that that negative $2 could still be a profitable or break-even product market fit. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you define, based on your market, have you done a product market fit test? If you haven't done a product market fit test, how could you begin to test the personas that you've defined, or the markets, if you're going broader, with your product? And using the product COGS analysis, do you have a break-even or a profitable product market fit? With that, I'll push you to the next stage.